Ang gulat-ulat pang tagamay sa uban. 3 minutes. 1:30 naman di hapit class. Sorry kay dugay ko nakapaniod dito. Okay. Rada ay na may kuan. Naatay recording. Recording in progress. So we will start with our discussion. For today, we will have this Laplace equation in spherical coordinates. We will have separation of variables in spherical coordinates. Okay, so for spherical coordinates, we know that the Laplace equation is equal to this one. So you have del squared v is equal to 0. And this is initial form, no, 1 over r squared, partial derivative of, you have r squared multiplied by the partial derivative of v with respect to r, plus 1 over r squared sine theta. I hope madumduman pa ninyo class, no? Multiplied by the partial derivative of, you have sine theta, multiplied by the partial derivative of the potential with respect to theta, plus 1 over r squared sine squared theta, multiplied by partial derivative of v with respect to t. So this is equal to 0. This is the spherical Laplace equation. Okay, now most of the problems in electromagnetism involves azimuthal symmetry. Okay. So suppose that the problem has azimuthal symmetry. Okay, so unsay meaning ani class? This means that it is independent of phi. So it is not dependent on phi. So when we assume that the problem has azimuthal symmetry, which is ingani always ang cases pod sa mga electromagnetic problem. So this means that the potential is independent of phi. Meaning to say, kini siya nga term diri since the potential is not dependent on phi, if we derive it with respect to phi, then we will get 0. So this term here will become 0. Okay? So in that case, our Laplace equation will become, i-copy lang ni nako no nga term. So you have 1 over r squared partial derivative of r squared multiplied by dv over dr with respect to r, plus 1 over r squared sine theta multiplied by the partial derivative of sine theta dv d theta with respect to theta. Okay, so kanina lang ato ang Laplace equation. This is equal to 0. Now, we can assume that v, which is a function of r theta, can be separated, or ang iyaang solution kay ingani ang form, we can separate it. So na kay r as a function of r multiplied by theta as a function of theta. Okay? So ang atong goal is to find this one. Or first kay separate sa nato ni siya, no? Our goal is to separate this first such that we can treat it separately. Okay? So, sa ganito, If v is equal to r theta, then you have 1 over r squared partial derivative with respect to r squared. You have partial derivative of v. Here v is r as a function of r and theta as a function of theta multiplied by theta as a function of theta divided by dr. Ito ba ni? Plus, you have 1 over sine theta, 1 over sine theta, and then partial derivative of sine theta, partial derivative of sine theta dv, si v ato na siyang ilisan og r and theta. So this is d theta here. Alright, so in order to separate this, so dapat diri no kay wala na tayo makita nga theta, diri pod wala na tayo makita nga r. Okay. So what we will do is we can actually take this out of the differential equation since partial derivative man siya class no, partial derivative with respect to r. This means we can treat this as a constant, so we can take it out of the integral. So take that out of the integral. Theta as a function of theta, you have 1 over r squared, partial derivative r. You have r squared partial of r as a function of r with respect to r. And then, this one, pwede na siya nato ipagawas pod since we are differentiating only with respect to theta. Okay? So, since we are differentiating with respect to theta, this is a constant since it is only a function of r. Okay? So, we have r as a function of r multiplied by 1 over sine theta partial theta sine theta. You have, ang mabili na lang diri is d theta as a function of theta over d theta. Theta ni siya nga gamay class ha. Okay, and this is equal to 0. So what we will do is so ang galing ni siya class, divide both sides by 1 over v or 1 over r theta. So we will divide it both sides by 1 over r theta so that this theta here will be cancelled out. So we are left with 1 over r squared, partial derivative of r squared, partial r as a function of r over r. Okay. And then here, kini siya, ma-cancel out kining r diri. This one. Kini siya nga r. So you have, what is left is 1 over theta, sine theta. So isahon lang ni nato siya, no? 1 over theta, kining theta diri, multiplied by sine theta, and then partial derivative of sine theta d theta. This is capital theta or over d theta. Okay. And this is equal to 0. So we have separated this atong group no, ang tanang r o ang tanang theta. And then after this, usa tong buhaton. What should we do next, class? Natay nalimtan diri no. Nawala ang r squared. Balik ta sa Laplace equation, okay? So, natay r squared, 1 over r squared, 1 over r squared. This one also is 1 over r squared. Therefore, pwede na nato mawala diretso daan siya 1 over r squared class. You can multiply both sides by r squared. So, from our Laplace equation, with azimuthal symmetry, so independent siya of p, we can multiply both sides by r squared so that Masimplify na to ang atong equation. Okay? So here, pwede na nato i-walaon si r squared. Nawala na siya, no? Kaya i-multiplyan na to both sides of r squared. So, wala na siya. This one also, wala na siyang r squared. So, this one is 1 over r na lang siya. Okay, so this is 1 over r. So, the same with the r squared nga na dito, no? Diba 1 over r squared sin theta man ni siya. So, gi-factor out na to ang r squared and then 1 over r squared is equal to 0. Or pwede po na to i-multiply both sides by r squared to eliminate 1 over r squared. Okay, so we have this equation now. And sa itong buhaton class. So we will equate this one, 1 over r partial derivative of r squared partial r of r with respect to r. So we will equate this with, say for example, c1. And then, kini siya, 1 over theta sine theta partial derivative of sine theta multiplied by d theta over, with respect to theta. This is equal to C2. But we know that if we add C1 plus C2, this is equal to 0, right? So when we add C1 and C2, it should be equal to 0. Okay. Now, last time, di ba katong sa Cartesian coordinate system, the Cartesian coordinate system, C1 is equal to k squared and then C2 is equal to minus k squared. Now this time for spherical coordinates or for spherical Laplace, what we will do is we'll let C1 be equal to this one. So L multiplied by L plus 1. And since C1 is equal to this one, then it might be that C2 is equal to minus L multiplied by L plus 1. Okay. So, kaya ano ganito? C1 plus C2 should be equal to 0. Now, kung nakaingaan nga differential equation, so imong differential equation no, balik ta para dili na nako isulat. So, this one, we will equate this to L multiplied by L plus 1. And then, kini siya nga differential equation, we will equate this to minus L multiplied by L plus 1. Okay. Or we can actually simplify this one further. So, ang siya nato pag-simplify class. So, ing ani, partial derivative of, you have r squared multiplied by dr over r. Okay, so this is equal to L multiplied by L plus 1 multiplied by, so di ba nakay-factor diri nga 1 over r, so ibalhin lang siya nato diri. Okay? And then, the other equation, you have partial derivative with respect to theta of sine theta d theta d. So, lahi ni siya nga theta class ha. This is big theta, this one is atong variable nga theta. And this is equal to minus L multiplied by L plus 1. And then, sa itong factor nga na diri, it's theta sine theta. So, we will transfer it here. Naka theta sine theta. Okay. Okay, so we can call this the radial equation. So this is the radial equation of the Laplace equation, the radial component of the Laplace equation, and then this one is the angular component of the Laplace equation, or we can call this the angular equation. Okay. Now, kung nakaingani class nga derivative, ang solution ani niya, the solution to this. So the solution to the radial equation, the solution of the radial equation is this. So you have r, so function of r is equal to a multiplied by r raised to L plus b multiplied by r raised to the power of minus L plus 1. Okay, so muna siya ang solusyon. I do not know kung asa ni siya sa math. Differential equation. Okay. In your differential equation, if you have this one, kung na mo yung ani nga differential equation, second order differential equation, the solution to this is kini siya, yung ani nga form, yung ani ang form. Or we can rewrite this. You can rewrite r. You have a multiplied by r raised to L plus b divided by r. So, minus sign pa na siya, no? So, kung nakay r to the minus 2, pwede na siya 1 over r squared. So, nakay r raised to the power of L plus 1. Okay, so this is now your r. And then, for your angular equation, ang solution ani, the solution to your angular equation is this. So, the solution to the angular equation is ingani ang form. Theta as a function of theta is equal to P sub L cosine theta. Naka-discuss mo ani sa inyong math class. This is the Legendre polynomials. Legendre, or I don't know kung saan niya pagbasa. Legendre polynomials or Legendre polynomials. Na-discuss ba ninyo sa inyong math? Wala. Okay. So unsa man ning si Legendre polynomial class? Now, this kini siya nga form, the Legendre polynomial, this is most conveniently defined by the Rodrigues formula. So, which is defined by the Rodrigues formula. Rodrigues. So, it's Rodrigues formula. So many Rodrigues formula class. So, you have this one. So, P sub L of x is equal to 1 over 2 raised to the power of L multiplied by L factorial. And then, you have d over dx or raised to L of x squared minus 1 raised to the L. Okay? So, this is the Rodrigues formula. And then, unsa may meaning ani class? Unsa may meaning ani niya? For example, if you have L equals 0. So, if L is equal to 0, then that means P of 0 is equal to, so this is in terms of x, no? P of 0 sub x, P sub 0 of x is equal to 1 over 2 raised to the 0. And then you have 0 factorial multiplied by 0 factorial. And then you have here derivative, total derivative, this is raised to 0. And then you have x squared minus 1 raised to 0. Okay, so your p sub 0 of x is equal to, pila ganing 1 over 2, 2, any number raised to 0 that is 1 plus, no? Okay, so na kay 1, kay, because 0 factorial is equal to, calculate doon yung 0 factorial ka sa calculator. Is it 1 also? 1? Okay. So na kay 1, kini siya nga term is 1, and then any number raised to 0 is equal to 0, is equal to 1. So you have 1 also, kini po siya kay 1. Therefore, your p naught or p sub 0 of x is equal to 1. Okay. And then you can also proceed to p sub 1. So if p sub 1, that means your L is equal to 1. So p sub 1 of x is equal to 1 over 2 raised to 1. You have 1 factorial, and then you have the derivative, the first derivative of, you have x squared minus 1. You have to raise it with 1. So x squared minus 1, naghapon siya, no? So you have here, kini siya, si p sub 1 x is equal to, you have 1 over 2 factorial is 2, no? Okay, 1 over 2, and then 1 factorial is 1. And then you have here, you have to derive this one. You have to derive this one. So this is 2x. Okay, therefore, your p sub 1 of x is equal to, pila class? X ra, no? Ito ba? And then we'll proceed to p sub 2. So for p sub 2, we have 1 over 2 raised to the power of 2. And then you have 2 multiplied by 2 factorial. And then the total derivative of, the second total derivative of, naka x squared minus 1, and then you have a square here. Okay? So this is equal to 1 over 2 squared is 4. 4 times 2. So naka 1 over 8, no? And then you have to get the second derivative of x squared minus 1. So in order to simplify this, or para mas dali siya, pwede siya na to ikuan. You have d squared dx squared of, so ganito ni sa class, x to the 4th, ato siyang, kung na to ang square daan, x to the 4th, or ato siyang expand, x to the 4th minus 2x squared plus 1. Ito ba? So x to the 4th minus 2x squared plus 1. So therefore, you have 1 over 8. And then, kung saan na to ang first derivative niya, no? Para dito maglibog na lang. Kung na to daan ang iyang first derivative. So you have 4x cubed minus 4x 0. And then, kaduha ta nag-derive since second derivative man siya plus. Okay, so for this, you have 12x, you have 12x squared minus 4. Or we can simplify this one. We can factor out 4. So you have 1/2 multiplied by, i-factor out na to ang 4. So pila na nabilin diri class? 3, no? 3x squared minus 1. Okay. So this is p sub 2. We will proceed to getting p sub 3. So p sub 3 is 1 over 2 raised to the power of 3. You have 3 factorial. And then, triple derivative. So, put a triple derivative of x squared minus 1 cubed. Okay. So, this is our p sub 3. So, you have 1 over 8, no? 2 cube is 8. And then 3 factorial is 3 times 2 times 1. So that is 6. And then you have the third derivative of, you have this one, x squared minus 1 cube. So, pwede siya na to isulat, sige, ano na lang, x squared minus 1 cube. So, we will derive it first. So, 1 over, pila man ni class? 1 over 8 times 6 is 48, right? Sakto ba? 1 over 48. And then, kung sa nato daan ang derivative ani with respect to x. So, you have, sorry, this is, yeah, second derivative with respect to x. So, derive siya na to 3, you have 3x squared minus 1 squared multiplied by 2x. Ito ba, class? I-derive pa na to ka isa. Katulad to mag-derive ani. So, ang first derivative with respect to x is 3x squared minus 1 and then square. This is 3 minus 1 squared multiplied by 2x. Okay. And then after this, we will derive it again. Ano ba tayo mapagawas? Yes, this one. Kini nga factor. Ang 6. 3 times 2 is 6. Pwede siya na ito ipagawas. Daan. So that ma-cancel out ning 6 diri. 1 over 8 na dayon siya. So you have, this is equal to 1 over 8. 1 over 8. Plus ha, balik sa ito ha. 1 over 8 and then nakay second derivative with respect to x of, since gipagawas naman nato ning constant nga 3 times 2, 6, ang nabilin na lang is x squared, nakay x diri, x multiplied by x squared minus 1 squared. Okay? So you have x multiplied by x squared minus 1 squared. Okay, and then we will derive this again. So ano siya pag-derive class? Pwede naman nato kanang expand na siya daan. So this one is x to the fourth minus 2x plus 1 multiplied by x. Nawala ang derivative. Second derivative. 1 over 8. And then, i-derive siya na to, no? So, naakay, mahimo siyang x to the fifth. So, naakay 5x, sorry. Napay mabilin din nga ddx. So, naakay 5x to the fourth minus, so nakay minus 2x squared ni siya diri class gikuan siya nato sa pangalan ni gi-distribute. So this is actually equal to 1 over 8 para di lang ta maglibog. So you have x to the fifth minus 2x squared plus x. Okay. So yeah, nakay 5x to the fourth minus 4x. 4x, no? Sakto ba, class? Plus 1. Okay. And then lastly, you have 1 over 8. And then you have here 20x cubed minus 4. Okay. So 1 over 8 multiplied by 20x cubed minus 4. So this is equal to, you can factor out 4. Factor out 4. So you have 1 half, nakay 4 over 8 diri, and then inside you have 5x cubed minus 1. Okay. Now, we can go on and on. So, pwede na ko ipa-assignment sa inyong class si P sub 4, P sub 5. Okay, so, in your assignment, no? Duha na yung assignment class. Tong last time and then karon. Okay, so solve for P. Yes? Yes. Tama. 2x squared. Sorry, sorry. Thank you so much. Musig na tayo na miss. Musig na pa tayo na miss, no? Diri, no? Sakto ra diri. Minus 2x squared. Okay. Thank you so much for pointing it out. Nagay ta to? Okay. So, this one. Second line, this one. So, x to the fourth minus 2x squared, meaning to say, dere, mahimo na siyang minus 2x cube, right? Kaya, gi-distribute man na tong x. Okay, so, 2x cube, and then, so we have, ito ba? Wait lang. X squared minus 1 multiplied by x squared minus 1. So you have x to the fourth minus 2x squared plus 1. Okay, sakto ra. So you have here 1 over 8. Para ba tayo laing na miss? Kanira no? So this is minus 2x cubed. So this is not 4. Instead, this is 6. So this is 6. So 5x to the fourth minus 6x squared plus 1. And then here you have 20x cubed minus 4x, minus 6x. 6x. Sakto ba? Ay, sorry. Sorry, sorry. Oh, salamat, salamat. It's 12. It should be 12. Okay. It is 12. Therefore, if we factor out 4, then this is 3, right? So, 5x squared minus 3. Okay. Thank you so much. So, you have 1 half. Ano? 1 half na ni class. 1 half kay gi-factor out na to ang 4, no? So, nagipagawas na to ang 4. So, nakay 4 over 8. That is 1 half. Ang mabilin is 5x squared minus 3. Okay. So, your assignment is to solve for x to the fourth and, to solve for p sub 4 and p sub 5. Okay. So, balik ta, diri no? Kini si Rodriguez class, this is in terms of x. Okay. So, Rodriguez is in terms of x. But, ang ato ang kining x diri x is equal to cosine theta sa ato ang Legendre polynomials. No? Therefore, kini si p naught. So, you have sa atong Legendre equation polynomials, ilisa na to ning mga x ug cosine theta. So, we know that p naught of x is equal to 1, meaning to say your p naught of cosine theta is equal to 1. And then your p sub 1 of cosine theta is equal to, di ba, your p sub 1 is equal to x, right? Balik ta no? P sub 1 of x is equal to x, meaning to say p sub 1 of cosine theta is equal to cosine theta. And then your p sub 2 of cosine theta is equal to this. Ano siya no? 1 half 3x squared minus 1. So you have 3 cosine squared theta minus 1 divided by 2. Or na kay 1 half multiplied by 3 cosine theta squared or cosine squared theta minus 1. Ito na ba ni? And then your p sub 3, you have, ilagay ito itong nakuha class, 1 half gihapon to no? 5 cosine squared theta minus 3 divided by 2. Okay, so this can go on. So kung makuha ninyo tong P sub 4 and P sub 5, then napunta siya kato equivalent nga la dyan, polynomial. Squared ba ni diri class? Cube, no? Cube, it's cube. 5x cube minus 3, so this should be cube. Okay. So, asa man yun siya na ito magamit? So, kabalo na ito ang saan pagkuha ang Legendre polynomials. Therefore, diba, ang ato ang goal is to find the solution B. So, the general solution is this. You have AR raised to the power of L plus B divided by R raised to the power of L plus 1. So, this is your R. The solution is R theta. R, this is your R. And then your theta is katong Legendre polynomials. PL, P sub L, cosine theta. So, daghan siyang possible na values. Okay, so this is the general solution. And since daghan siyang possible values, then we have to write a summation here where L is equal to 0 to infinity. Okay? So L can be 0 to infinity. So this is the general solution. General solution to the Laplace equation. General solution. Okay, now ang challenge is to find the constants. Okay. So saan man nato pagpangita ang constants class. So that is the general solution. And then, in order to find the constants, we need to define our L or we need to know our L. So, we need to have a specific problem. Dapat kay specific atong problem in order to get the specific solution to our Laplace equation or the exact value of V. Okay, so for example, so nakuha na to ang general solution, no? Kabalo na po taong saon pag express sa itong Legendre polynomial. Next is to apply this. Tanaw tag problem diri class. Example problem sa itong book. Tanawon niyo siya nato, no? Para natay idea kung unsaang pagkuha si A. Kung unsang pagkuha sa itong mga constants A sub L, B sub L, o C kining kung unsay value, exact value ani ni PL of cosine theta. Okay? So for example, kini siya nga equation, kini siya nga problem. Example 3.6 in your book. Okay, so this problem. Okay, so the potential V naught is a function of theta. No, V naught is a function of theta. It is not a constant. Kini siya nga problem, dili siya constant. It is a function of theta. The potential V naught is specified on the surface of a hollow sphere of radius r. So, the problem is to find the potential inside the sphere. Okay, so naka-sphere of radius, sorry. This is supposed to be a sphere. Okay, so the radius of the sphere is r. Hollow siya. Hollow nga sphere. And then, the potential V naught, which is a function of theta, is specified on the surface. So, nasa sa surface of a hollow sphere with radius r. Meaning to say, natay murag kini siya tong boundary condition, no? Boundary condition. For r equal to r, for small r equal to big R, or for distance gikan sa center sa imong sphere, sa imong hollow sphere, for a distance r, kining dako nga r, equivalent to the radius of the sphere, the potential V is equal to V naught, which is a function of theta. Okay, so this is our boundary condition. Now we are to find the potential inside the sphere. Okay, so what we will do is to use katong general solution. Tanawon na to kung kining general solution class, this one. For this problem, we will use this solution for V since we have spherical symmetry. Since spherical man ni ato ang system, then we will be using this. So diretso nakuha naman ato ang V. So dili na ta mobalik atong process kaganina nga mag-separate patag variable. Nakuha naman ato ang V. Okay? So atong tanawon using the boundary condition class. So when R is equal to R, V is equal to V naught. Now, di ba itong tanawon is the potential inside the sphere, and that includes the origin. Now, the origin, hagay na location sa origin is, kani siya, nasa center, so that will be R is equal to 0. At R is equal to 0, if R is equal to 0, tanawon na to, hindi rin kining nag-involve og R. Sa atong general solution, natay duha ka terms nga nag-involve og R. Now, if R is equal to 0, okay ra ni siya, kaya mahimo siyang 0. But this one, if R is equal to 0, unsay may tabo class kung R is equal to 0, kini nga term kay unsay may tabo sa yaa? Undefined. Very good. So, mo blow up siya. Mahimo siyang infinite. So, if we kanang butang na to diri ang i-substitute na to diri si 0, mahimo ni siyang infinite ni siya nga term. So, it must be, or it should be that, so, kini siya nga term B divided by R, L plus 1, this will become infinite. Ni siya nga term. So, it should be, para maiwasan ni siya nato nga situation, kay nga naman, dili man jud ni siya nato appeal ni siya sa ato ang pangitaan og potential class anywhere inside the sphere, including the origin, no? What is the potential inside the sphere, including kining diri sa origin, or kining sa center? Okay, so para maiwasan ni siya nato, it should be that ang imuang B is equal to 0. Therefore, for this problem, ang atong general solution, kaya mahimo naman siyang V of R theta is equal to summation of AR raised to L. So, wala na tong isa ka term, no, involving R. This one, wala na siya since B is equal to 0. So, we have found out that B is equal to 0. And it should be. It is the only way. No? Nga dili siya mo blow up. Multiplied by P sub L of cosine theta. So, kini na lang ato ang solution. Muna lang niya atong solution for this particular problem, where L is equal to 0 to infinity. Okay. And then, using the boundary condition, R is equal to R. If R is equal to R, your V, the potential, kini siya nga potential is equal to V naught, which is just a function of theta. Okay, so, ato siyang i-substitute diri, no? You have V naught as a function of theta is equal to the summation of summation of A, and then this R here, R is equal to R, so we will substitute it with the radius, big R, raised to L, and then you have P sub L multiplied by cosine theta. Ano nakita? Excuse me lang kadali class ha. Hello, okay pa mo dira? We have 15 minutes left, no? So we have this one. So again, atong goal is to find the exact solution or to find the exact potential sa atong inside atong hollow sphere, no? Hollow sphere. With ang iyang potential kay nasa surface V naught. So meaning ganyan ni R is equal to R, V is equal to V naught, meaning to say ang iyang potential kay naa sa surface sa hollow nga sphere. Siya sa surface. Okay? So, atong buhaton karon class kay mag Fourier trick na pud ta para mahibalaan nato ang exact nga value sa atong A. Now take note that this A here, ni si A class kay dependent siya sa L. Maglahi-lahi ang value kining coefficient ng A, maglahi-lahi ang value niya. Depende sa value pud sa imong L, where L is equal to 0 to infinity. Okay? So, unsa man nato ni pag Fourier trick? So, kini siya, constant pa ni si R sub L, no? R sub L. Pag Fourier trick, kini ato ang i-multiply. So, we have P sub L of cosine theta. Ipakita lang sa nako class nga no ing ani yang form of P sub L of cosine theta multiplied by, unsa itong i-multiply? It should be P sub L prime of cosine theta. And then you have sine theta d theta. Now, asam ni gikan ni sila, no? So, dili siya gikan class. You have the integral using the Rodrigues. Si Rodrigues class kay katong x, P sub L of x. And then you have multiply this one with P sub L prime. So, this is our Fourier trick. Si P sub L of x, multiplyan siya na to og P sub L prime of x dx. Right? Di ba? Muna siya itong gibuhatong miagi katong sin theta itong i-multiply sin theta d theta. Where theta is equal to katong n pi a over b, something like that. Okay. So, this one, since ang atong x diri is cosine theta, so x is equal to cosine theta, therefore, dx is equal to minus sine theta d theta. No? So, that kung ang atong x kay cosine theta, so this is from negative 1 to 1. So this integral, kung si x atong gamiton, this is, ang iyang limit is negative 1 to 1. Okay? Now, we have this one. If x is equal to cosine theta, therefore your dx, yung dx diri, this is equal to minus sine theta d theta. Therefore, kini siyang equation or kini siyang integral will become minus integral of P sub L cosine theta multiplied by P sub L prime cosine theta. And then you have your sine theta d theta. So, negative siya. And then, if x equals negative 1, so, tanawan na to ha. If x is equal to negative 1, kini siya class, para maka-change tag limit. So, if x equals negative 1, then nakay cosine theta is equal to minus 1. Sakto ba? Cosine theta is equal to negative 1. Therefore, theta is equal to cosine inverse of negative 1. Pila man ang cosine inverse of negative 1, class? Do you have your calculator? 180. Okay, so it's pi. So, kini siya ang lower limit kay pi. And then, when x is equal to 1, so na kay cosine theta is equal to 1. What is cosine inverse of 1? 0. Okay. 0. So, na kay negative integral of PL cosine theta multiplied by PL prime cosine theta sin theta d theta. This is integrated from pi to 0. Now, we can eliminate the negative sign. Pwede siya na to i-eliminate ang negative sign if we flip the limit. Sakto ba? So, if we take the limit from 0 to pi, then this integral here will become positive. Okay? So, we have this one, positive. Meaning to say, kining imong equation, kining imong ang general equation, we will do Fourier trick, meaning to say, multiplyan siya na to both sides of PL prime cosine theta sin theta d theta. Okay? So, you have integral of b naught from 0 to pi. B naught is a function of theta. And then, multiply this with PL prime cosine theta sin theta d theta. P sub L prime. Now, so ganito class, amoy nagdumduman katong if L is not equal to L prime. Sige lang, yan na siya. So, you have PL prime of cosine theta sin theta d theta. This is equal to, ipagawas na to tong A of L, and then you have R raised to the power of L, and then inside the integral sign is P of L cosine theta, P of L prime cosine theta. You have sin theta d theta. Okay. Now, this integral, again, this is from 0 to pi. Kini sa class, nani siya value if, if L is not equal to L prime, if L is not equal to L prime, then the integral will become 0. PL cosine theta, PL prime cosine theta sin theta d theta, this is equal to 0. But if L is equal to L prime, kini siya nga integral, ang iyaang answer or ang iyang solution is this integral has this solution. So, ito yung solution, 2 divided by 2 multiplied by L plus 1. Okay? So, this is the solution to our Fourier trick. Therefore, so, from 0 to pi, na kay V naught, integral of V naught as a function of theta. And then, kining PL prime derivative, we can just write it as PL, no? Pwede na siya na to isulat as PL since naalang man siya value, ma-zero man siya no kung L is not equal to L prime. So, naalang ni siya value if L is equal to L prime. Therefore, pwede rin siya na to ilisan of L. You have cosine theta, PL of cosine theta, sin theta d theta. So, this is equal to 2 divided by 2L plus 1. And then, napabatay summation, ano class? So, we have summation or pwede na nato walaon ang summation. Okay, pwede na nato walaon ang summation. So, you have A sub L multiplied by R sub L. Okay, so you have this one. 2A sub L to the L divided by 2L plus 1. Okay. So, itong goal no kay is to find this one. But, as we can see, your A sub L, kay kuan siya, integral. So, you have 2L plus 1 over 2 R sub L, R to the L. So, your A sub L, kining imo ang A, imong coefficient A is equal to 2L plus 1 over 2 R raised to the L, and then you have this integral. So, isolate lang nato ni si A to the A sub L class, no? Integral of V naught. So, na V naught, no? So, na siya sulod sa integral sign because it is not a constant. It is a function of theta. And then you have P sub L cosine theta, sine theta, d theta. Okay, so muna siya ang ato ang value sa A sub L from 0 to pi. Okay. Now, we go back to our general solution. So, balik ta sa atong general solution and then i-plug in nato atong A sub L. So, our general solution, kini mo ni siya, not this one. Our general solution is this. For potential inside the hollow sphere, mo ni siya atong general solution, na wala atong B. Atong i-plug in diri ang ato ang A class. Okay? So, medyo taas siya. So, you have V as a function of R theta is equal to A sub L. So, your A sub L is equal to this one, 2L plus 1. Tabangay ko guri ko class ha. Na kay 2L plus 1 over 2R raised to the power of L multiplied by the integral from 0 to pi of V naught, function of theta. You have P sub L, cosine theta, na kay sine theta d theta. Okay, so this is your A sub L, and then, so ito itong general solution, A sub L multiplied by this one, A sub L multiplied by R to the L, PL cosine theta. Haman ako ibutang ang R. It should be outside the integral sign. Okay, so muna siya imong A, and then, ang imo ang R raised to the power of L multiplied by PL, you have cosine theta. Yeah, cosine theta. So, this is your general solution. Now, antay time class. 2:30 naman ito tama, no? So, layo pa kay ta. Actually, kayo, pwede na siya na ito imong final answer. But, sa problem class, kini nga specific problem, naghatag siya value sa imong V naught as a function of theta. So, your V naught as a function of theta is equal to K squared, K sine squared theta over 2. Okay. So, unsa gani ni siya, this is the potential inside a hollow sphere with potential V equal to V naught at the surface. So we can have a more specific example if we are given with V naught, kung ano sa value ni V naught plus. Okay, so we will continue this in the next meeting since it's already 2:28. Okay. Do you have questions?